Language is one of our main tools for understanding the world. Whenever we look at anything, from the simplest to the most complex phenomena, we use words to make sense of it. But can everything we see, think, and feel truly be captured by language? Or does language itself hold us back, keeping certain parts of reality out of reach? Think about trying to describe the taste of an exotic fruit to someone who's never had it, or the depth of an intense emotion. Even with a vast vocabulary, we often find that real experiences seem to go beyond words. This raises a big question. Are we locked inside a linguistic cage that prevents us from seeing the world as it truly is? For thousands of years, we've worked on language, finding ways to translate the world around us. We've built metaphors, created new terms, and developed complex ideas to try to explain things. Yet something always seems to slip through. And here's the mystery. Is there a limit to what we can understand and express? Science has given us amazing tools to explore the universe. Through scientific language, we're able to describe atoms, galaxies, the human brain, and even the origins of life. This language is full of precise terms, designed to make complex phenomena understandable. But does it really capture the essence of these phenomena, or does it just get us close enough to grasp them? Take quantum physics, for example, with its strange and mind-bending concepts. Words like particle and wave try to describe something that behaves like neither. And the deeper we dive into science, the more we realize some things slip away from straightforward descriptions, leaving us feeling like we're always one step behind the real nature of things. Our scientific language also relies heavily on analogies, which, while helpful, have limits. Comparing the brain to a computer or the mind to software makes complex ideas easier to grasp, but it doesn't fully cover what consciousness truly is. These metaphors help us build knowledge, but they also restrict our perspective. Are we stuck inside the very words we use to explain the world? So, as science progresses and uncovers new mysteries, it also bumps up against the limits of language. Even with precise terms, the essence of many phenomena remains undefined. And maybe these boundaries are what keep us from fully understanding reality. When we talk about unsolvable mysteries, nihilistic philosophy gives us a bold perspective. It questions whether humans really need explanations for everything, or if this constant search is something we invented, a way to bring meaning to an indifferent universe. What if, in the end, there are parts of reality that are, by their nature, unknowable, and maybe not even meant to be understood? Thinkers like Nietzsche challenged this idea of a complete explanation, suggesting the world has no grand purpose or hidden meaning waiting to be uncovered. From this perspective, we might never grasp the core why of things simply because it doesn't exist. This brings up an interesting thought. Is our desire to understand and explain just a way to comfort ourselves in the face of the unknown? But nihilism doesn't just deny meaning. It can also open doors to a freeing acceptance of life's mysteries. Maybe by admitting that certain things will always be beyond words, we can let go of the need for explanations and start seeing beauty in what we can't define. This view doesn't dismiss the pursuit of knowledge, but instead questions our obsession with absolute answers. So, nihilistic philosophy challenges us to embrace the unexplainable as a natural part of existence rather than a barrier. And maybe by doing so, we can live with a little less anxiety, knowing that not everything needs to be solved to have value. The language we use doesn't just describe the world, it shapes it. Every word carries layers of meaning and interpretation that affect how we see reality. In a way, our understanding of the world is built on how we choose to describe it. But is reality truly what our words make it out to be? Or is there something beyond what we can name? Think about deeply personal experiences, like love or pain, which vary widely from person to person. When we try to express them, we confine these unique feelings to our personal language. This creates what some call a linguistic reality, where the world we understand is just a limited translation of what's actually there. Are we missing out on the essence of things by putting everything into words? This dilemma reaches into all human experience. For instance, when we define concepts like happiness or freedom, we use language to simplify something that's complex and ever-changing. But each definition only scratches the surface, always leaving something out. Language helps us build meaning, yet it limits what we can truly know, putting boundaries on our view of reality. And so, the paradox becomes clear. We need language to make sense of the world, but it might never capture reality as it really is. Even in our deepest search for answers, there may always be spaces of mystery, where words fall short and true meaning slips away. Science and philosophy both use language to describe, question, and explore the universe, but they do it in different ways. Science aims for precision and objectivity, while philosophy leans into open-ended interpretations. Together they create a bridge that connects us to complex and abstract realities. But that same bridge can act as a barrier, limiting what we can truly understand and express. When describing consciousness, for example, we use terms like brain and mind. But do these words actually capture what it's like to experience something? And what about time? Even though we measure and describe it, the essence of time may lie beyond any definition we invent. Sometimes it feels like language gives us only a narrow window to view the world, leaving so much still in shadow. This brings up the idea that maybe we need new forms of language, perhaps even beyond words, to explore certain mysteries. Some scientists and philosophers suggest visual, sensory, or even mathematical concepts to open up fresh perspectives. But even these methods bump up against the edges of what we can understand. So, language is both our ally and our limitation. It builds bridges toward the unknown, but reminds us that these bridges have an end. And as we reach these boundaries, it makes us wonder, how much of the universe will always remain out of reach, no matter how good our words are? We've reached the end of this journey exploring the limits of language and the nature of the unexplainable. What we've found is that despite all our scientific and philosophical advances, there are still vast mysteries that may never be captured by words. But rather than being frustrating, these limits can be freeing. Accepting that we don't have answers for everything invites us to appreciate the beauty of the unknown. The optimistic nihilist view suggests that by embracing the limits of language and human understanding, we find a new kind of freedom. We don't need to find an ultimate meaning behind every part of life. Instead, we can enjoy the world in all its complexity, taking in what it has to offer, even if we don't fully understand it. Maybe true meaning is found in our ability to wonder about what lies beyond words. This perspective lets us value the journey of discovery without the pressure to reach a final truth. Perhaps the most human thing is realizing there are always more questions than answers. We can then see each new discovery as a piece of an infinite puzzle. And in doing so, each small answer becomes another reason to keep exploring, learning, and maybe even accepting that not everything needs an explanation.